Hello, welcome to my ICT Hub, where we make ICT concepts easier. This is John, your ICT tutor. Today we'll be looking at the Spreadsheet application program, and our reference is going to be taken from the May June 2024 paper 3.1. That's the IGCSE ICT paper, which was written last year rather. Okay, to start with, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get in. Okay, here we have the question, the IGCSE ICT, that's Information and Communications Technology 2024. Okay, the May June paper 3.1. It's a combination of spreadsheets and web authoring, but for this video we'll be looking at spreadsheets. All right, let's start out straight away. Okay, here we have our source files. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the source files there. Let's confirm. Yes, we have all the 8 source files also here. Now the instruction says you would assist some marine biologists in analyzing data on and raising awareness of the splendid toadfish. And this is an endangered species only found in the reefs of Cozumel, somewhere in Mexico. All right, that's about information. Now the evidence document, that's task 1, says create a new word process document. What are we going to do with that? Make sure your name, center number, and candidate number will appear on every page of this document. Save the document in your work area as, let's just copy this, followed by your name, center number, candidate number, for example. All right, so let's quickly open a Word document. For reference, I'm making use of Office 2021. So I'm going to be using MS Word to create that document. Now in the header, set that information. I like to place mine aligned to the right. Okay. All right, that's my information. Now let's save this. File, save as, Word document. All right, I want it in the same location where my source files are. So I have that there. Remember, I copied this, ng 3 underscore. All right, save that, and the evidence document has been saved. So let's go back to a question. You will use this as an evidence document during the examination. Let's start out with the task 2, which is the spreadsheet. Spreadsheet says open and examine the file j2431 divers.csv. All right, let's open that file. Here we have divers. Let's open it up and see what. Okay, here is divers.csv. We have just to examine the file. Let's double click to ensure we can see everything. Okay, from the look of it, we might be using this file for a VLOOKUP. Let's go back to the question. Now it says this file will be used in step 2. Do not make any changes to this file. Okay, open and examine the file j2431 splendid.csv in a spreadsheet. So let's go to open that. Here we have splendid. Okay, now that's opening a spreadsheet. Here we have it. Sorry, I haven't done that. It says rows 9 to 32 will show the number of sightings of this splendid toadfish on each reef for 1 week. Okay, for 1 week in February. Good. Now rows 35 onward shows the details of all sightings for this week. Okay, details of all sightings for this week. Fine. Now place your name, center number, and candidate number left aligned in the footer. Okay, let's quickly do that before we come back. Here we have this. Let's go to our view. Let me turn on this so we can. Okay, so we go to the view. I want to change to not the page break, the layout. Here we can see a header, and down to the bottom of the page we can see the footer. Let me confirm that again. Is it to the right? Center number left aligned in the footer. Okay, so we come here. That's John and G123, and yes, that is done. Now place the automated file name with no file path on the right in the footer, just the file name. So we want to go here and go to the menu of the footer. You want to place the automated file name. So here we have the page numbers, date and time. We have time. Here we have file path, not the file path, but what we want is the file name. not the paths as the question says. So we want to click on that, and the automated file name will be displayed there. Is that all? Okay, now save this as a spreadsheet with the file name Splendid. Let me copy that, followed by your center number, candidate number, for example. Okay, so let's go back and let's save this. Go to File, Save As. I want to browse. Okay, and let me have that center number. Sorry, that should be. And then for my candidate number. Okay, now I ensure that I change this to an Excel workbook, and then I can save that. All right, is that all? Okay, that will be all. So we can leave this view now. Let's go back to our normal view. Now that has been done, here we are on the normal view. The next question says, place a replicate formula in cell C35. What will this do? To look up the type of diver, yes, the type of diver using their name and the external file j21divers.csv for the array. Okay, yes, we want to use. So now the lookup, remember when we are using a lookup, to look up the name, they would always need a lookup value. We need the array, then we need the column you'll be returning, or the row as the case may be, and then the condition. But let's get into that and see. Now it says replicate this formula for all the divers. Now we are placing this in C35. So let's go back. We want to look at C35. Allow me to just expand this. Okay, so we are on C. We're going to C35. 35. Okay, that should be C35 here. All right, so we are going to be using the name, that is B35 as our lookup value to return the type. So let's take a look at where we're going to pick our array from. Okay, here we have the name. Now the names are listed vertically. All right, like I said initially when I saw this, it's likely we're going to use this for our lookup. Now because the names are listed vertically, so our lookup is going to be a vertical lookup. It's not a horizontal lookup, because the names, which is going to be our reference point or our source for comparing our lookup value, it's vertically. If it was arranged horizontally, that would have been a H lookup. So let's go back. Now we want it dropped here. Let's go to our formulas. We are looking for a VLOOKUP. Okay, that's VLOOKUP. Now first, the lookup value is going to be the name. Click on this name. The array is the spreadsheet where is the table which we want to return the type of diver. So we want to click on this. Remember, don't click on the title. Just, okay, we pick there. Then the next thing will be what column are we returning. If you take a look at this here, the type of diver, is located on the third column, that is C. So we have column 1, 2, and 3. So we are returning column 3. You will using 3 there, and then we use true or false in this situation. True is used when you want something close to it, and false is used when you want an exact match of that lookup value in the array, in the lookup column where you are comparing. But here we are going to be using false, since we want an exact match. And you can see an answer has been displayed here. I will click on OK. I want to double click here. Okay, so now this is fully visible. Now remember from the question, it says, after we've done that, replicate this formula for all the divers. Okay, let's take it down. Click on the fill handle, and then you drag down to the last diver. Okay, then we double click again. All right, that is visible. Very good. Now let's go back to the question. Question 3 says, place in cell B3 a formula to count the total number, when we are counting total number of sightings for a 7-day period. To start with, says count. So how do we want to count? We want to count total number of sightings in the 7-day period. If you remember in the explanation, they said we are going to be using all of these data is actually a representation of the sightings that was carried out in the 7 days. So now we want to know how many sightings was done. So you could just use any of the cells to count. And we are dropping that in B3. So let's go up back to B3. Okay, so here we want to use the count. So I'm going to start, let's pick up the formula and just pick count. Yeah, so that's count. All right. Where am I counting? Like I said, come down and use any of it. I could just use either the type or any column you want. But basically, we just want to count the number of sightings that was done for that 7-day period. If we are done, we return it. Let's take a look at what we have. Okay. I used counting. Normally with the counts should work with numbers. All right, so let's take it again, please. I use the text. That's why it didn't give me the count. So I want to use count, and preferably I want to use where I have numbers. If you look at the condition for that count, sorry, let me go back. Okay, let's take a look at count here. If we type count, now we want to read count there. What does it say? Count the number of cells in this range that contain numbers. So whichever cell you are using, you want to use the one that contains numbers. So the initial one we did, we used the cell that contains text. Sorry, I used the cell that contains text. That's why it gave us a return 0. So here I would preferably want to use this because here I have numbers. So I could just pick on this, highlight this cell and that column. All right, and that gives me 41. Good, exactly. So let's move on. The next question now says, place in cell B4 a formula to count the total number of sightings for a 7-day period where a photograph was taken. All right, let's go back. Now here we have the name, the type. Here we have reef, then we have photograph. Let me expand this. Okay, yes, photographic evidence, and then we have GPS. So we want to count how many of it actually has yes, because you can see we have yes and we also have no. So we want to count how many of these fields is having yes. So we are going to be counting based on the condition that whatever is in this column or whatever is in this cell is yes. So how many of these cells have yes in them? So how are we going to write this? Let's go back now. Our count is not just going to be the normal count because we are counting with a condition. So let's take a look at, we're going to be using the count if, because the count if is going to be counting with a condition. We have count ifs where we have multiple conditions, count blank where we just have a blank, and I think count A is for counting text in the range, right? It's not empty. Okay, we could have used the count A for that other cell where we counted here. So it's not only the numbers. If you use the count A where a cell is not empty, it's still going to give you this answer. All right, so now we want to use the count if for this because we are counting based on a condition. Now, where is the range? The range is going to be here. We are counting from this photographic evidence. Okay, and what is the criteria? The criteria should be equals to, yes. Okay, all right, you can see that we have 31. Sorry, I think I typed that with my caps lock on. So we have equals to yes. All right, and we have 34. So let's click on OK. And yes, it has counted the number of sightings that came with the photographic evidence where a photograph was taken. Number 5 now says, place in cell B5 a formula to count the total number of sightings for the 7-day period where a photograph was taken that had the GPS location of the fish. Now take note, there are two things here. One, it says a photograph was taken, which is what we counted here, and that also held the GPS location of the fish. The photograph was taken that held the GPS location of the fish. So two things are going to be considered when counting. First, the photograph must be taken. Then secondly, the GPS location of the fish was also held. So if you give an example, like here we have no, no, this won't be counted. Like here we have yes and we have no. So in this situation, this will not be counted because we have the photograph taken, but the GPS location was not, so this wouldn't be counted. So our condition must check two things. First, check that we have a yes, and then check if we have a yes for the GPS. So how do we do that? Let's go to our B5 where we are dropping that. So the counts we will be using now is the count ifs, because we have more than one condition we are counting. The count if is used when you have just one condition, but we use count ifs when there is more than one condition to be counted. So we have this. What's the criteria for the range for the first condition? Okay, we want to first check for yes, photograph was taken. Okay, and the condition here is equals to yes. Now what is the second range? It's not going to be the GPS column. So we click on this and we drag this down to this point. Please take note when using this, the length of both columns must be the same. That is, the range must be the same number of cells that you are counting. Okay, so here we have, let's continue now. We want to put in the condition is equals to yes. Now if I hit my tab key, you can see we actually have a value. So let's go ahead and click on OK. So we have that. So it has given us the counting where we counted how many times we have photograph and GPS. We have countings where we have only photograph, and then the total number of sightings that we had. Okay, let's continue to the next question. As a place a replicable formula in cell B9. What would this do? To display the number of sightings at this reef where a photograph with GPS was taken. Okay, let's go and see. This is now two conditions again. We have B9. B9 is here. All right. And this is a reef name. Okay, so we want a condition that will count where we have this reef and then where photograph was taken. These are the different reefs. So it must match this particular reef here. And at the same time, this must be a yes. So we are still making use of our count ifs again. But this time we want to point to this location, not using the name, but we're going to be using the cell. So that whatever, at any point in time, if you easily change this, it has to be dynamic. It can move with whatever is the content of that cell. So let's go to our count ifs again. I'll be using the count ifs, which is already selected. All right, the first range is the reef range. So I want to click here, highlight down to the last cell. Yes. Now the criteria here is going to be just the cell. So let's click on the cell, which is the reef name. Then the second criteria is that the range now is under the photograph evidence. So I highlight down to the last one here. Okay, and the condition, or the criteria rather, should be yes. Okay, once that is done, okay, we have, let's take a look at that. The result gives us a 0. Let's be sure, do we have that? Look through. Okay, I think the only place we have, okay, this should be 1, but we have this and we have yes. So the result shouldn't be 0. Let's take a look at what's gone wrong there. Okay, the range. The first range is taken from here. We have this, and the second range is taking photographic evidence to give us a yes. Well, let me just rewrite this expression to see if we had anything wrong. So let's go again with our count if. Sorry, the count if. Okay, so the first criteria, or the first range, now is under the reef. Let's do that again. Please permit me to go through this. And the criteria is going to be what is in here. All right. The second one now is the photographic evidence. Okay, and it should be equals to, yes. Aha, all right, now this is correct. I don't know what I did wrong initially. Okay, so we have just one, like we detected it here. We have one of it. Okay, so now that is done. So always learn to check through your work if you feel you have an error somewhere. Now the next thing says replicate this formula for each reef. Okay, we want to replicate this formula down for every reef. So you click on the fill handle and then you drag down to the last. Okay, that is replicated. Now it says format the top of your spreadsheet so that it looks like this. Okay, all right, we have 41, 34, 40, 10. Okay, just to check. All right, those values were actually correct. Like I said, there must have been an issue here. And so to format this, the first thing we take a look at this is this particular cell, that is A, for column A and B is merged. You want to highlight the two, go to your home menu, and you want to merge and center. If you click it down, you can see this arrow, merge and center. Let's see if we are given any font size. Make sure cell A1 to B1 and B7 to B8 are merged. Set the size of the text in row 1 to 22 points. Okay, so we were given a size 22. Okay, good. It looks bold. Yes. So here we have, this is a little bit halved. So we want to come here and make this in a little. We have the outline turned on. So I'm going to give the borders, all border here. Same for here. Okay, for the first three here, we have an outline for this two. Highlight this two, turn on all borders. Now this is aligned to the center. Very important, the alignment will be checked. And we go to the next. Here we have the 6 is also halved. So I want to reduce the size of this row, and I zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Reduce the size of this row. Okay, then we also have the borders turned on for this. I can see the outline here, so I'm gonna do that soon. Let's have this. Okay, all borders down to the last. That's to this point. So I want to believe for it to be visible, then it's visible all the way. We have all borders here. Okay. Now this is merged and centered, so we want to merge these two cells, merge and center. Then the text is wrapped, like you can see, it's bold. It's not this wide. Reduce the size. Yes, it's not that wide. Okay. Ensure that your formatting actually match what is requested. Now you can see, even though there are no outlines within this, there is an outline going through the side here. So I want to just pick it this way and give it an outside border. Or better still, I could just pick on this ones. You can see, and give it a left border. So that's the left. Okay, take a look at this. All right. Yes, so we can see all the borders are visible, and here we have all our borders visible also. We have two of the rows that are reduced in size. These two rows are reduced in size. You can see 2. Okay, no, 2 is not. Okay, good. 6 is reduced in size, just good enough. Then we have the alignments. These are aligned to the right, so I want to highlight this, align them to the right. Okay, this is to the center, so there's 2. I want to align them to the center, make it bold. Then others here align to the right. Here we have all of these aligned to the right. And lastly, we have this aligned to the center. So pick on all of these and align to the center. Alright, I think that's all for the formatting. Let's take a look at it. Does it look like it? A, B, yes, this halved. Alignment taken care of. We have the outlines, yes. Good. I still want to reduce this 6 a little more. And possibly reduce this 2 also to make it very obvious that it's halved. Yes. And we have the center line bold, yes. Okay, and we have this aligned to the right. Okay, I think we are good to go. Save your spreadsheet. Yes, we've done that. Now the first thing says select only cells A1 to C75 and print the cells with the formula displayed. Make sure, before we look at this, let's highlight C75. Let's go down there. You want to turn on the formula, so you go to your formula menu, and here you have this button, show formulas. So you click on that. It's definitely going to distort the table a little. Or I could just double click on this to give me size that everything is visible to ensure everything is visible. Okay, since we are particular about those three. Yes, now what are we to do? So when we are printing, make sure the printout is in a landscape orientation. So I go to my page layout, change that to landscape. Second thing, the row and column headers are displayed. So you want to go to your data, sorry, not data, still in your layout, and in this group, you want to turn it on. That's the headings for the printout, so it will be visible when printing. The next one says the content of these cells are fully visible. Okay, from what we can see, once we double clicked on this, that's ensure that every content is fully visible. All right, so now we are printing. Remember, cells A1 to C75 and print these cells. So make sure you highlight the cells that are requested, because it's not the whole spreadsheet you are printing, just those cells. You go to your file and to print, and you can set to Microsoft PDF so that you can see your printout first before you do your final printout from the printer. Okay, this is going to be coming out in about 9 pages for me. All right, just make sure. Okay, now no, sorry, you have to select the selection, print selection here. Okay, now this is reduced to 6 pages. Let's take a look at this. Okay, yes, it stops at C because we were told only C1, A1 to C75. All right, when I'm done with that, just print out. It's print into PDF. I want to save that in the same location of my evidence documents. I could call that printout 1. Printout 1. And save it as a PDF. All right, let's take a look at what it looks like. The printout 1. Okay, that's it. The row and column headings are visible. Yes, we have all values are fully visible. Formulas are fully visible. We have 8B down to C75. Okay, C started, yes, here, down to C75. Good. So we have that printed out. So let's move on to the next question. Next question says, select rows 1 to 8 inclusive and only the rows between 9 to 32 where a citing took place. So let's go back. You want to turn off your formulas. All right, we click that button back. Okay, we have our table but a little bit distorted. I want to double click this. Click on this, bring this in a little. All right. Okay, so we are back the way it was. Now it says we are selecting rows 1 to 8 inclusive and only the rows between 9 to 32 where a citing took place. So how do we know when a citing took place for row 1 to 32? If you take a look at this, we have citings, yes, sorry, from row 1 to 32, forgive me. This is, all right, from 9 to 32, I was looking the other way, to 32. Now, if a citing takes place, then there will be a value here. If a citing did not take place, it's going to be 0. So how do we ensure that we take out those that are 0 and leave only those that the citing took place? So what we do is we want to filter this particular column. So you highlight down to the last. You want to filter, so you go to your data menu and you click on the filter. Once you click on that, a little arrow will show at the side here. You click on this. You might either want to take out the 0 from here. So every other value is going to be visible if you click on OK. and that will filter it out. Or on the other hand, let me undo this. You could also use your number filters and say it does not equal to 0. Okay, if I use this, it's still going to give me the same thing. Take out all the 0 where we don't, and it's going to leave out only those where it's not equals to 0. That means a citing took place. All right, so we can say take a screenshot of the method used to select these rows between 9 to 32 and place these screenshots in your evidence document. All right, so we go down. I want to show this again. Go back to my number filters. All right, so I need this screenshot in my evidence documents. So let's take a screenshot of this. Okay. Yes. All right, and let's go to the evidence documents. That's a step, take the question, step 9. All right, sorry. So I have step 9. Okay, now that is placed there. Let's go back to a question. Now print this selection showing the values. Now make sure the printout fits on a single page. The printout is portrait orientation. The rows and column headings are displayed, and the contents of all cells in the spreadsheet, in the selected rows, are fully visible. Okay, we go back there. Now we've not turned off. Let's go back page layout. This is still turned on, so the row and column heading will be visible. Now we want A down to B. All right, just this selected. Now we want to print out. Orientation should be in portrait. All cells are fully visible. All right, we have this. That's our details as a footer. Okay, if that is done, let's print out. And I want to call this print out 2. Okay, let me send that out. Let's check what it looks like. Print out 2. All right, yes, fully visible. The row and column headers are visible. Every content is visible, and here we have only the citing where we had citings. So all the zeros have been taken out. Let's go back to the question. Okay, and once we are done with that, all right, I think that is all for that aspect. So at this point, we end the spreadsheet application. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop your questions or comments in the description below. Once again, I'm going to drop the link to the question and to the source files in the description just in case you need to practice on your own. Like I always advise, it's better you practice. Just watching the videos alone might not be sufficient. Try it out on your own. See what you do wrong or what was done wrong and how you can also correct it. The more you practice, the better you get at doing this, and you become more conversant and fluent to answer the question. So on that note, I come to the end of this aspect of the video. If you like what you have seen, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and you can also hit the notification button so every week when I drop a video, you will be notified. So I see you in the next video. Have a nice time.